My guest, Tyra Omilade Hargrow, is a spiritual guide, life coach, and founder of the Inspired Goddess community. She helps women move from being stuck in lack and limitations to powerfully aligning with their life purpose using ancient wisdom and modern tools. She's twice initiated as a priestess into African and goddess spiritual traditions, a certified hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner, women's circle facilitator, mindfulness teacher, astrologer, and spiritual reader. Welcome, Tyra.
Hi, Michelle. Hello, everybody.
So today you're going to talk about lunar astrology and how that can help us achieve both personal and business success. So could you just kind of break it down for us, we for people who know astrology vaguely, right? So specifically, what is lunar astrology?
Yeah, lunar astrology is the kind of astrology that focuses on the moon. The moon has lots of different qualities, and it is what is called a luminary in astrology. Most people know the sun sign. They may or may not know their moon sign, or even that they have a moon sign.
Mm-hmm.
But the sun is this bright and shining star. And so it's very important in terms of helping us to understand our astrology. And of course, the moon gets its light from the sun. And
Mm.
so within astrology, both those luminaries are important in helping us to, number one, understand who we are. But also, astrology has a way of helping us to understand what cycle are we in. And
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing like understanding cycles, like
Right.
understanding the moon. So, yeah, lunar astrology is largely focusing on working with the moon.
Okay. So what's so special about working with the moon?
So, two things or two ways that I'll describe working with the moon. First of all, the moon is descriptive. So, or astrology is descriptive. And so when we're working with the moon, there are certain things that we can understand. So, for instance, the moon helps us to understand what are our needs, what really makes us feel nourished. And so when you understand that, say, for instance, you have a moon in Aries, it's going to help you understand what you need. um, it's going to help you to understand what nourishes you. Or say, for instance, you have a moon that's in a water sign, it's going to help you to understand to a certain degree why you are the way that you are. It helps us to understand where we need to live. So it just gives us, it's like this deeper way of understanding why we operate the way that we operate. So it's like an adjective. Okay.
Mm.
Now, the other part is it's predictive. This is astrology in general. But definitely using the moon, it's predictive. It can help you to understand what cycle am I because astrology is all about cycles. And the type of I love the descriptive part of astrology because it helps me to accept myself. That's one of the things I love to share with people. you know when we begin to look at our astrology, it can help you just make peace with, this is how I am made up. That it doesn't mean I can't be other things, but so many of us struggle with how we are because maybe the world says this is not okay. But when you
Mm-hmm.
understand yourself, in that way, you can get that peace. But the predictive part of astrology is the part that I find to be extremely powerful because it helps us to understand, think about the verb. It helps us understand, what am I supposed to do? And so when we're using the predictive part of astrology, then we can think about things like, okay, is this like a new beginning for me? Or is this a time where I should be working or should I be resting? What exactly should I do? And so the moon can help you to understand specifically today what cycle you're in, but it can also help you to understand what is to come. And
Interesting.
that way
Okay.
you can plan your life. So if you know the moon is going to be in a sign, say for instance, like Pisces, typically, and it doesn't even matter, what your sign is or anything. When the moon is doing her thing, because she moves through signs every 2.5 days. When she's doing what she's doing, it's pretty collective. The feel of it is collective. And so if the moon is in Pisces and you're thinking, I need a day off, that might would be a day that you can forecast in the future. Okay, I know I have to kind of keep working hard, but when the moon gets in Pisces, I know that's the time to relax and just take some time off. So those
Mm.
are two of the ways that I love to use the moon.
It sounds like it's another tool of just like self, examination, another tool of self-awareness,
Mhm.
and then, so this idea of like the predictive nature. So, you know, laying out a calendar and like tracking the cycle, is that something that you would recommend?
Oh, yes. I wanted to talk about 3 ways that you could work with the moon, and I wanted to give 3 ways you can practically do it starting today. And
Great.
so to understand, is the moon new? Is it a new moon or is it a full moon? So
Mhm.
those 2 are so, so easy. And so when we go from the new moon to the full moon, we're in what is called waxing, the waxing phase of the moon. And so that is a time where you may feel like, okay, I have a little bit more energy to put towards doing something new, getting something done, and just, really pushing yourself to completion. And it may not be full completion because some projects are big, but maybe that part of the project, you just want to get one part done, or you're working around your home or something like that, where you probably will have the energy, because everyone's astrology is personal, so this is very general, but I find it does work. If you're going from the new moon to the full moon, that's the time where you could write into your calendar, okay, I'm going to be working on really accomplishing some things, getting
Okay.
things done. And then when we're from the full moon back to the new moon, that's called waning. From the new moon to the full moon, waxing. Full moon, back to new moon, waning. And so when we get to the waning moon, we could put things on our calendar that have more to do with purging. So for
Mm.
instance, today I was talking to some ladies in my community, and it's Virgo season, and Virgo season definitely has to do with clearing clutter, and a good time to do that maybe also would be during the time the moon is waning. What do you want to get rid of? What do you want to release? What do you want to let go of? And it's also kind of like a time for resetting yourself, regeneration, rejuvenation.
Mm.
And we need that in today's culture. We stay
Yeah.
on, we're in a 24-hour culture, but the moon can help us to build in that time where we need to relax, relax, relate, release.
Right. Oh, I love it because it is so necessary to honor that part of ourselves, and like, all fields must go to fallow, right? Like we have to
Mhm.
have that in our regular daily, monthly cycles, to have that downtime so that we can create new, and rest and rejuvenate. I love how you said that. The 3 R's, that was pretty fantastic.
Yes. That is such a good point that you make too, because one of the things that I do, that I look to, is our ancestors. I'm very much into our ancestors. And I know we modern people like to think that we're so advanced, but are we really, And so surely our ancestors, for us to be living today, they knew something.
Mhm.
Our ancestors did not have electricity. A lot of our ancestors did not have electricity like we did. They lived according to nature. And that is, I think it's so important because we are so technologically advanced, so that we don't forget our humanness, so that we don't forget our humanity, so that we can stay healthy. It's important for us to return to some of the ways of our ancestors. And what did they use? They used things like the lunar cycles. When the days got shorter, that was the time that they would go more internal. so that they
Mhm.
can, get that time to rejuvenate themselves and get rest. So many of us want rest. We're so tired. And I know, a lot of people watching these videos and being a part of the summit will be are entrepreneurs, are people who are working hard to deliver their services. And so understanding how to build this time in using the moon will be helpful so that, we can be in this thing for the long haul.
Yeah. It seems a lot more sustainable because we are accommodating that time for the rest and then that time for the busy, get
Exactly.
to it kind of grind. Yeah. Awesome. So you said the three practical ways to work with the moon, and one of them is paying attention to the waxing and waning. What else?
Okay, the other thing that I wanted to share, so I have to write notes because I'll start getting lost in my thoughts. Oh, okay. So you want to look at, and I just want to go back to this first one just
Mhm,
really quickly. So we want to understand the waxing and the waning. And what did I start with? The new moon and the full moon.
mhm,
So the new moon, the time leading right up to the new moon is that time where it's kind of like we want to be thinking about what is it that I want to focus on for the next lunar cycle. So we can think about the lunar cycle being about 28 days, but let's just round it up 30 days for about the next month. And so we want to reset. I always think about how people are so critical of people setting New Year's intentions, where you're going to set your New Year's intentions and you'll be done by January the 15th.
mhm.
And I think, well, why don't we give people an understanding of how do you keep your goals and your intentions fresh? And one of the things that I teach is you just revisit them at every new moon, right? Leading up to that new moon, revisit what's happening. Oh, what did you say you were going to do over this year? Or
Mhm.
for those who like to use 90-day planning, what is it that you said you were going to do? Let me revisit that. And the new moon gives us an opportunity to reset, to recommit, and then also to set new intentions that come up as they do all year long. So that's another way of working with the lunar cycle is to set
Yeah.
new moon intentions with every new moon.
Mm.
Another thing that I think is important is so many of us stay so in go and achieve mode that we don't understand the importance of celebrating our wins. Because if we
Yeah.
don't celebrate our wins, we think, well, I'm not winning. But if we
Right.
take stock of all the things that we've done, in the prior lunar cycle or, even the prior, previous 3 months, and celebrate them at the full moon. That is what I
Mhm.
love doing at the full moon. Let's take time to take stock of what have we achieved? What is this moon highlighting for us? And a lot of times if people think about it, if they pay attention to that full moon, they'll recognize, you know what? I did a lot more than I thought. I've achieved quite a bit. Uh,
Yeah.
the other the other thing that I do love about the full moon is it will bring us some insights. It will bring us some revelations so that maybe we need a course correction
Mm.
or there's something we've been trying to figure out, but we couldn't quite see it. But when we have that full moon, the sun is sending its full energy to the moon. And so now it's like, oh, what was in the dark, I can now see. And we might have a revelation that is helpful moving forward in terms of achievement or just whatever it is.
Yeah.
So tell me if you have any questions before I move on to the next two things. That's what I want
No,
to
I
share.
mean, I love all this because, first of all, I'm a big proponent of the power of intentions, like
Mhm.
intention, like it means so much. I could literally set an intention before I do anything. And
Yeah.
that sheer act of setting that intention plus having a little action to back it up, man, it just comes like that.
Yeah.
And then with the moon, like you're talking about, like I love this idea of like taking stock of your wins at the full moon and like big or little, because we have a
Big
tendency to want
little.
to look at the big ones, right? But the fact sometimes that I did the dishes, like sometimes that's a win, right? Like, so let's be real about that because it's really easy to kind of highlight the crap but really taking that intentional time to, like, just make that long list, honey. It's okay, like, write them all down. Yeah.
And do a happy dance. Turn
And do
on
a
the
happy dance.
music.
Yeah, give yourself a like, an actual celebration, right? Yeah.
Yes. It's natural, it's normal. One of my favorite signs, and this sign gets such a hard time, but I
Is it
actually really
Scorpio?
love Leo. I'm Scorpio. No, I love Scorpio. Yes, we get a hard time. Are you Scorpio?
We get a hard time every time, yeah.
Yes, Scorpios. I was talking to someone today. I was like, Scorpio, people just look at us and they're like, "Oh yeah, I hate you." I'm like, "You don't even know me." So once I figured out I'm a Scorpio rising, I was like,
Mm.
"Oh, this is why people just kind of give me a hard time." But Leo is
Mm.
a sign that people oftentimes criticize Leos. Oh, they just think they're all that. But the actual energy, the part of the wisdom of Leo is it's about being proud. And
Mm.
so, part of the full moon, we call it the full moon, but it's the full moon because the sun is a part of this thing, right?
Mhm.
And so that's part of what the full moon is about. It's built into who and what we are. We are supposed to have some level of pride in what we do. We're supposed to be good with shining our brilliance into the world. Leo is this brilliant energy and it motivates and it inspires people. So take that time, friends, to give yourself a high five for whatever you've done. Even if, like you said, sometimes it's just no, it was rough, and I just woke up every day. High five at the full moon. Okay, so
'Cause I
let me
didn't
take.
have to, I coulda stayed in bed, but yeah, that's right.
It's
That's
true.
right.
It's true. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's a high five that's what I did. I stayed in bed instead of getting up
Mhm.
and maybe doing some other things that aren't so good for me. Okay, so the next thing we can do is understand what sign is the moon in, and you may need an app. I don't actually use apps since I know astrology, but there's a lot of apps out there that people can go to or websites that will just tell you straight up what sign the moon is in.
Mhm.
And the way I'll describe it is like this. If the moon is in, say, for instance, an air sign, air energy has to do with intellect and it has to do with communication
Mm.
and connecting with other people. So that might would be a good moon if you need to write, if you need to learn and teach, if you need to set up some meetings, that might would be a good moon for that.
Okay.
It's also good for technology, since I know so many of us use so much technology in our lives. So those are days where technology might benefit you the most. Say, for instance, if the moon is okay, so the air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. So if the moon, say, for instance, is in a fire sign, that would be a time where you'll have energy to get things done. For me, I love when the moon is in Aries. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get everything checked off on my list today. If it's something I need to get done, it will get done. Or, if you're like, I really want to move and exercise, you may feel like you have more energy to move and exercise when the sun is in a fire sign. These signs are inspirational, they're motivational, they're very masculine signs. So if you need to do something where you feel like you need to tap more into your masculine energy, fire signs are great for that. Actually, the air signs are great for that too. So the fire
Hmm.
signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. So if it's earth signs, the earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. No question about it. Those are the most productive. See, fire, you may feel like you have energy, but you may just want to go have fun sometimes. Leo and Sag are like, I think I just want to go have some fun right now. But if you want to get some things done, earth, full stop. Earth signs, they are productive and they have this grounding energy. So if you need to get grounded, those are the signs when the moon is in those signs where you may feel the most like, okay, I feel like I'm coming back into my body, tuning into the body. Actually, they're really good for working on doing healthy things for your body,
Mm.
just really being present in your body, because we just spend so much time in the ethers in our minds. And
Yeah.
so having that, being able to like really tap in and tune into our bodies, the earth signs are good for that. But it's nothing like getting things done when the moon is in an earth sign. I check off 3 or 4 lists with those moons. Sometimes I'm so productive that I'm like, "Is this healthy?" And I think, "Oh, the moon is in Capricorn, or the moon is in Virgo." I'm like, "Oh, no wonder I'm getting everything done." Um, and it's also a really good sign for, like, cleaning up your environment, anything physical, but also working on your money. Those are
Mm.
really good signs for that. And then last but not least, I saved this because I wanted to end, talking about the signs with the water signs. So the water signs are going to be Cancer, Scorpio,
Yeah.
Team Scorpio in the house, and Pisces.
Mhm.
So I love these signs because they bring that softer energy that we all need to connect with. So many times we'll be in the water time, the moon will be in the water signs, and people are kind of like, I don't like being emotional. Or I'm so sleepy and just so tired. But
Mhm.
that's we're human. We have emotions and we need rest. So those are moons that are perfect for self-care. How are
Yeah.
you going to take care of yourself and you know, maybe eat some nourishing food and go get a massage, just self-care. Those moons are so into self-care, maybe even getting away, going to the beach, going on vacation, getting away. Scorpio is not so much like Pisces and Cancer. So I'll say Scorpio is kind of like if you want to purge, if you want to
Mm.
release, let something go, um, do like some readings for people who are into readings, do some type of spiritual. Actually, all three of them are very spiritual. And the last little bit I'll say about the water moons is they're intuitive. And
Mm.
my position is we need to bring intuition more into our lives, more into our business, our professional lives. So
Yeah.
those are great for that. So that's what I have for that. Before I go on, tell me your thoughts.
Fantastic. I mean, it just makes me, like, start thinking about, oh, I almost, like, want a planner with, like, the moon signs in it so I can kind of pay attention to this kind of, like, thing. So,
Yeah.
Tyra, I need you to make a planner. I'm
Okay.
putting that at your door. Um, because I think that, anything that we wanna utilize as a tool like this could be helpful, whether you believe in astrology or not, and frankly, you don't have to believe in it for it to work, because it just is. Um, but, to keep track of those cycles, like you were saying, because the moon cycles, what I know the full moon and the waxing and the waning moon, but I don't ever pay attention to where the moon's transiting,
Yeah.
and how that's affecting me. So it's bringing a new light on something else that I can use to kind of
Good.
really harness the energy cycles. Yeah.
Oh, that is so good. Yeah, one word I've been thinking about as you and I've been talking is we need a framework because it's so easy. Just forgetting is built into being human. We can forget so
Mhm.
much. And so you you can't see it, but it says the moon reminds me that I am whole no matter what phase I'm in. And
Oh, I love
so
that.
yeah, I love the notion of working with the moon because it's like the moon is so faithful. We know we're gonna have a new moon, and then we're gonna go through all the cycles and then repeat. And if we
Mhm.
ever get lost, all we have to do is just return to, okay, where's the moon today? What is she doing right now? And then it just lets us know, it gives us a nice little framework to work with. So
Mhm.
we're not just free floating out in life. This is how I got so passionate about astrology. I just would feel like it feels like life is just happening to me. I can't quite figure out what's going on. And then
Yeah.
once I started using astrology, I thought, well, you know what? Even when I don't know, I'm just going to go with what sign is the moon in today. And I'm just going to do my best to focus in that way. And I just, you just feel so much more contained. and the
Mm.
spiral doesn't go down, it can
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
at the
yeah.
least, it's gonna stay here, but it may actually spiral up.
So I think
So,
that container, like, I believe that we all need like these parameters to some degree that make us feel safe and healthy and functioning and not, operating in some kind of way. And that container for that thought and the intention and the actions, I think can be really powerful, you
yes.
know. I come from, like, an alchemist history, right? Like, the
Yeah.
emerald tablet and all that, so to me, like, the moon as a nursemaid has been
Mm.
kind of one of my guiding, thoughts around the moon, and I've used to, like, write a bunch of poems about the moon. Um, but, um but if we take that, like, that nursemaid archetype, and she's, like, guiding us through these different phases of life, I mean, it kinda marries really well in my thought process.
It sounds
Yeah.
like it. I don't know that archetype, but based on what you're describing, yes. Yes, definitely connected.
Yeah, she's just kinda walking us through our months.
Okay, yes,
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Well, I have one more that I'm gonna share with you all because this one to
Please.
me is so important and it's underrated, and I find it works for me like a charm. And that is knowing if the moon is void, of course,
Mm.
or not.
So what does
And
that mean,
again,
of course?
okay, so the moon, because she is moving all the time, in astrology, it's called, aspecting, but the way I like to describe it in, regular people's terms or regular language is she's meeting with a lot of planets throughout the day.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I
and
like that.
so, yeah, she's meeting with the planets regularly.
She's
And
busy.
so it's like, first thing that'll happen is she'll go into a sign. So let's just say she goes into Gemini. So now she's awake again because she's in a new sign. And while she's in Gemini, she's going to be meeting with all of these different planets. Well, before she goes into Cancer, there's going to be a point where she is no longer meeting with any planets. There's no other planets to meet
Mm,
with for as long as she is in Gemini. And so that part is called void of course.
okay.
And and again, we are talking about the moon is a luminary. It has energy. And another part of the luminary piece is the moon helps us to manifest. At the end of the day, she helps us to manifest. And so if the moon doesn't have any energy, that means she has no power. She's not interacting with these other planets. She does not have any power. It's like she's asleep. And so
She's watching Netflix and chilling, like
Netflix and chilling, baby. Netflix and chill. That's what the moon is doing during the void, of course, I love that. And so, I always tell people, if there's something that's very important to you, avoid void, of course, moon as much as you can.
Okay.
VOC is another way that you see it. It's when the moon is done with all her meetings in one sign and she's waiting to go into the new sign. So just as soon as the moon gets to Cancer, she's going to have energy again. She'll be back to having energy and you can do whatever you want. And so, for instance, the way I use this is I send out a newsletter and I might just be jamming that newsletter and I finish and I'm excited about this newsletter. I'm ready to get it into the inboxes of, all the people who are on my email list. But
Mhm,
before I send that email, because I want that email to have energy. I want it to land. I want people to open it and read what's there. I'm
mm.
going to check, is the moon, another way of saying this, is it in a sign or is it not in a sign? That's void, of course. Is it void, of course? If it's void, I look to see when does the moon go into the next sign, and then I decide on what time from there do I want to send it. I tell people if you have an interview, if you need to sign a contract, now, I tell people you need to live your life however you want. Um, Sometimes you got to sign things when you got to sign them. It was just the way that it happened or whatever. But if you can help it, anything that's super important to you, you want to to avoid using or doing that during the void of course moon. And again, you would just have to use an app or, know where to go find that. Or conversely, if it's something that you don't want to happen, schedule it during void of course moon. I will look to see, like even for this, I was like, okay, what day I want this interview to be good. I want it to go without off a hitch. I will choose times that I'm like, I know the moon is in a sign. This is going to be a good thing. Doesn't even matter what sign it is for me. A lot of times I'm like, just as long as it's in a sign, if I want it to work, I'll schedule something then. But if it's kind of like, "Oh, I sort of don't want this to happen."
I'm curious. Okay, I got 2 questions. First of all, what sign is the moon in right now?
The moon just went into Sagittarius this morning.
Okay, alright, so we got some fire going on. And
Yeah.
and and secondly, like, when the moon is void, of course, about how often or not how often, about how long is that?
Oh my
Like
gosh, that is such a good question. I'm gonna say typically it's gonna be some hours.
oh,
But
okay, so it's not like days.
it could go from it oh, what not days, no,
Okay,
because the moon is in a sign every 2.5 days. But
okay,
I've seen 24-hour void of courses. I
okay.
do an astrology write-up in my membership, and I'll tell them, "Look, get everything done before this void of course moon. Get it done, because you don't know how you're gonna feel." Because a lot of times during void of course moons, now this is another way to work with the moon. You need time off. When is the moon void of course? Schedule some time off during your day, in the middle of
Wow.
your day. Sometimes it's like 4 hours, and I think it's not that bad. We can make it. And
Yeah.
I don't really make a big deal of it if it's like 4 or 5 hours. But sometimes we wake up and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, the moon is void, of course, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. today during business hours. Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh." Like, everybody get your toothpicks ready, or
Mm.
I
Sounds like
always
a
kind
great
of
day to
feel
go to
like
the art museum. You
great day
know?
to do anything
Oh,
that helps you to do whatever you don't want to do.
yeah, right.
Um, yeah, sometimes I just feel like I'm in no man's land when the moon
Mm.
is void. It's just kind of like, I don't know why I can't get focused. I just, it's just I'm out there in my mind, or I'm like laying around or whatever. So when it's a long void, of course, moon, and it's during business hours, or if it's a day where something big is happening, I tell people you just need to work, rest. You may have to take a lot of breaks. So good question. You do have
So
to kind of check that.
interesting. Yeah, I love it. And so, not for nothing, you have a membership that you outline the moon phases for people, like
Mhm.
where she's okay, all right.
Yeah, what
Yeah,
I
pay
do
attention to
is
that, people.
yes, what I do is I will summarize the astrology for the week. I'll just kind of give them an understanding of this is the feel of this week based on the astrology, so that they
Yeah.
understand this is a week that may feel a little bit more challenging, or this is a week where things will feel pretty easy. And then I go through the lunar astrology and help them to understand, okay, these are the things that you want to be focused on all week long. And sometimes I see that void moon and I'm just like, y'all get ready to take a nap that day. If you need to take some time off, need a personal day, make it that day right there.
Awesome. I love that. So, just to kind of recap, so the use of astrology in this case, and in particular lunar astrology, can benefit one's life through, gaining self-awareness, planning your days and through the cycles. What else would you say is an important aspect of astrology for people in their lives?
Um, I'm gonna be honest. One of my favorite Wha okay. Astrology, I'm gonna go larger than lunar astrology right now. One of my favorite things about astrology, and you might would need an astrologer, I'm just being 100, but I love it when I can do a reading for somebody and help them to understand something that happened in the past. I actually kinda use
Mm,
astrology to do historical, research, but it's personal
interesting.
research.
Yeah.
And so, I remember, you know how sometimes we can remember something significant happened, and we're just like, "What was that?" It
Mhm.
seemed odd and bizarre. It came and it went, but it left an indelible impression on you. That happened to me in, 2000 around 2015. It was as if I couldn't remember anything. Now, I didn't know astrology at that time, but I remember it was a time where I felt like I couldn't get anything done. I consider myself to be a smart woman. I have a pretty good memory for the most part. Um, I mean, my sun sign is Pisces, so I can be a little bit free floating, but I am able to get things done. But during that time, and another thing is I can have boundaries. I'm Scorpio rising. Come on now. Scorpios, we don't let anybody in. I'm exaggerating, y'all. We're good people. But at this point in time, I was teaching a dance fitness class. I couldn't remember my choreography, and I felt like
Yeah.
people were taking advantage of me. And it was as if I was homeschooling at the time too. I could not get me and my kids organized or anything. I ran so many lights because I didn't even see the light.
Oh,
And it
wow.
was like
Yeah.
so many miracles that kept me and my kids alive during that
Mm.
time. And eventually that time passed on. And I just remember feeling like that time period devastated me. So once I began learning astrology, one of the first things I did was go into my astrology, and I went back to 2015, and I understood there was a major transit that happened that affected me, that was actually coming back, but just on a different planet in my chart. And so it helped me, first of all, to make peace with, because I felt like a failure from that time in my
Mm.
life. And
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, I wasn't a failure. I just was experiencing something that was very, very challenging, and I
Yeah.
didn't know what to do." And that's what I love about getting readings, in astrology, because I have gotten the readings, and now I can do readings for people where if I see a rough time, I can say, "Astrologically, this is a very challenging time for you. You're not a failure. This is the mission."
Mm.
Astrology can help you to understand, what is my mission at this particular juncture in my life? And then it can help us to best live it instead of being in resistance. Or the thing that I just dislike the most is people walking away thinking they're failures. You're not a failure. It was just a really hard time. And to even
Yeah.
survive these transits, some of the transits are so rough, to even survive it, you know, is just a miracle, So
I love the
uh
idea of using astrology to do some archaeology along our personal timelines. I like that blows my mind. Like I've not heard, and I've got friends that are that are astrologists, and my daughter is actually becoming an archaeologist, so it's kind of funny.
oh,
But
I love that.
I've not really ever heard someone going back and mining, looking for those things, and I
Yeah.
think like, wow, that could really bring some enlightenment, and then, like, as you said, if something's getting ready to come around in another cycle, then we can kind of prepare for it based on that, history, just with that
Yeah.
knowledge. That's super
Oh,
powerful.
it I tell people, I just feel like we've been duped around
Mm,
astrology
mm,
because it works. And just like any good thing, people can take advantage of it. So maybe either the powers that be realize that it really works, and it would empower the everyday man and woman to be able to get their fair share and not be taken advantage of, or somebody took advantage of it, because astrologers, we know how it works, we got to be ethical with it,
mm.
or a little bit of a mix of both. But yeah, astrology is one of the most powerful tools that I have incorporated into my life. And I give thanks that I have the calling to be an astrologer so that I can help other people get some answers. And I believe life can be easier. I believe life can be easy. We can have a lot of easy periods in our lives. And I believe that astrology helps to make even the rough times. I went through one of the roughest periods of my life last year. I know astrology. All astrologers will say, we may know astrology, but we still got to live it, baby. There's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
certain it. But I didn't lose it because I was like, you know what? I already know my mission. I know what's going on. And so,
Mm.
it gave me the wherewithal to just be like, I'm going to do this in the best way possible. And just instead of feeling like, life is just happening to me, I must be a bad person. I want people to just understand you just in the middle of a mission right now, and it's going to
Mm.
help you. So, yeah,
You're in the middle of a mission. You may not know what that is, but hey, let's check it out. Let's take a
let's
look at
check
the
it out.
astrology and see what that mission is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a nice tool to have in the toolbox, or someone,
Mhm.
as someone else said, another toy to play with.
Yes.
Yeah. So Tyra, I want you to tell all the folks where they can find you. Social media, website.
Yes. My website is goddessbodymindspirit.com. Goddessbodymindspirit.com. My all my social links are there. I'm on Instagram. YouTube is the main place that I go live and share every week something about astrology. That's where my membership is. But yeah, just go to my website, goddessbodymindspirit.com.
Will that direct us to your YouTube page also?
You'll see the YouTube link on there.
Okay. And your monthly membership?
Yes, my monthly membership is a part of my YouTube channel. And so there's a join button when you go to my channel and you can just join. And this is my no brainer offer. It is so affordable and it is rich in so much astrology to help you live your life. So,
Fantastic. Any final thoughts for the folks on lunar astrology? I just want to make sure we touched all the things that you wanted to touch.
um, I'm going to summarize it like this. Um, the moon is here to, just like you talked about, what did you call her? The
The
nursemaid, the
nursemaid,
milkmaid,
yeah.
the nursemaid. Yeah. I mean, we think about the nursemaid, care and concern. And so the moon is all about helping you to understand that care and that concern that you want to bring your life that you need in your life. And so I've given you some tools today that can help you bring more care and concern through using lunar astrology. You deserve it, um, and it works.
Awesome. Tara, this has been such a great conversation for me. Like, I've really loved all of this, and I'm really looking forward to checking out your YouTube, lady. Like, I'm heading over there.
Thank you. Can I tell you something really quickly? I
Mhm.
just want to mention also that I'm going to gift to the summit, the Shine Summit, a Luna course that I created. So, and
Ooh,
it helps. It pretty much goes
wow.
a little bit more in depth. You have something you can refer to. I give you a few tools, say, for instance, to keep up with the void of course moon and all that kind of good stuff. But I'm definitely going to gift that to everybody here in the Shine Summit.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. Tyra, I look forward to talking with you off camera, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Michelle, for organizing all of this and having me.